don't know if we're going to be able to click in. Oh, hi, everybody. How you doing? Good to see you here. Hey, just in case you don't know, if you haven't read Wistful Ascending, you need to go out and buy it now before you watch the rest of this video. If you have read Wistful Ascending, but you have not read the other 7 books in the Hybrid Helix, get on it, because I don't understand what you're waiting for.
Yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen,
catch up.
Mr. JCM Berne. It's a round of applause.
Hello, everyone. Sorry we're late. Entirely my fault. Just FYI. No excuse.
Waiting with bated breath. Oh my God, it's 8:03.
We said 8:03. I really don't like to be late. Like that's a personal. I'm the kind of guy who shows up at everything like really early, and then I'm also the kind of guy who takes the first parking spot I can find, like within the same zip code as where I'm going. Right, so it'll be like half a mile away. The street's empty. I'm like, I can park here, and then we can just walk half a mile. My wife's like, no,
idiot. You drop me off at the door is what you do. If you want to go over here in Egypt, you go right ahead. You walk.
It's try to park closer, which almost always works. It's almost always never like I found the right spot to take. Anyway, this is not important. A little trivia for anyone who's curious about any trivia.
JCM Berne always shows up on time and is always late because he parks too far from where he's going.
I swear to God, I was on time. I just had to walk 3 miles to get here.
I swear I was early.
I swear. These are contradictory impulses, but what are you going to do?
Dude, I had to get that beaten out of me when I like first got to LA. I was like 22, 23 years old and total Midwest upbringing. So I showed up everywhere 15 minutes early. So like, I'll hold back and I'll wait. And I'll show up at the party that starts at 8. And so you go and knock on the door and you're like, what are you doing here? The party starts at 8, right? Yeah, which means it's 9, get out.
Yeah. I think I would learn this from my wife's family because Bengalis are typically a late people, but I don't know. It hasn't caught on yet. I'm slow.
They're moving on their own speed. Like you balance each other out. That's really what it comes down to. You get her there early, she gets you there late, right on time. So I loved Shadow of Hyperion.
I'm really
so
good.
I want to ask you a couple questions about that. And I'm not exactly sure where to start. Shadow of Hyperion, please. If you haven't gotten to it, please go ahead and get to it.
Book 4. Coming out on audio should be within 2 weeks because it went to ACX.
Let's go
yesterday.
ahead and start there. So you went with, I believe, 1 audiobook for a long time, right?
Yes.
And then you got 2 done, and then you found an open lane and just went for it, right?
Yeah, look, so I meant to get more done earlier. It was sort of a finances thing, and then it was my narrator had some personal issues. Right. He's tweeted about it, so it's not like a secret. Right. But he had some health problems and some financial, and then he left the field for a while. And then I had this stretch where I was like, okay, if I want to continue with this, I need to find another narrator, but people don't like narrator switches, so I was reluctant. And I probably should have pulled the gun on that earlier. Like from a pure business perspective, it was probably the wrong call, but also like I felt some loyalty to Wayne. I really liked the work he did. Yeah. So it was like, whatever. I mean, there's all this hindsight you can have, should I have done this? Should I not? I don't know. I'm not a business person. Anyway, point is, then Wayne got back to narrating, had a free slot, and then he had another free slot, and I'm like, I'll take those. And then I think I hope it's okay to say, and he does commercial airline work, flight piloting. That's what he'll get a gig where he's like somewhere. So this is terrible, right? So I'm like, do you think you can do a couple more? And he's like, well, he can't tell me where he's working, but I'm pretty sure it's the Middle East. And I'm pretty sure you can all thank Donald Trump for the fact that the audiobook for Shield of the Mothership is going to be available in 2026.
It's nice to have one thing to be grateful for.
I don't want.
It was all worth it for this.
No politics here. I'm just saying, like that. Whether it's right or wrong, there happens to be a war that happens to be interfering. I mean, my narrator is suddenly available to do more work. I'm not actually 100% sure, and I don't want to get Wayne in trouble. I don't know if that's actually what the full story is, but I think that's why he just tells me, yes, I have room. No, I don't have room. He has room. So I'm just like running with it. And I feel like there's enough people out there who are really audio only, or you jump the queue. And I found this even with the first book. There were many people who read it, really liked it, and never continued. Like Rob Hayes gave me a nice review, great, and I'm invested in Rob Hayes's like feedback as a creator, not as a business person.
Sure.
Right? Like I want him to read the books and like them because it makes me feel like I'm doing worthwhile things as a writer, as opposed to thinking that his recommendation is going to sell a ton of copies, which I don't really think it will, but that maybe will. I don't know. It's hard. You never also really know what's selling books, right? Like you get some sales and I don't know where these people heard about this. Anyway,
make a list of people you want to say nice things about you. Rob J. Hayes would be on the list.
So people like Rob J. Hayes and then Philip Chase. He had partial function in his closet somewhere for like a year and a half, and I was like, and then he started listening to, I don't know if you know this whole story with Philip, and he got Alan from the Library of Alexandria to do his audiobooks, and then he started getting into audiobooks, but this is very recent, and I'm like, hey Philip, you live on a teacher salary, you want a free audiobook? And he's like, I'll take a free audiobook. So I sent him one, and then it's that twin thing. I'm really gratified to have Philip read even if he never said a word about it on his channel, even if it led to nothing, just him DMing me and says, don't say this, but I enjoyed the book. That's tremendous. But he also said it on his channel, which is even more, also tremendous in a different, way. And I was like, let me just do this. The first 9 books really form kind of the 9th book ends a storyline. Right, no spoilers, but this is the storyline that starts in book 4. So I feel like if I can get those 9 good covers and then wait till the end of the year, see how the finances turn out, and then I think 20 because book 9 will come out this year. Then for book 10, I'm going to go no audio, cheaper cover, cheaper editing. Get a proofreader, but not the line. Do that work myself. Go back to this is just a hobby. And I can't keep spending my kids' inheritance on this.
Yeah, you can.
That switch.
They don't need you.
It's really tempting. It's really tempting.
More, Joe. Us or your kids?
Yeah. No, I think I can get pretty nice covers and pretty good editing for significantly less. Because my line editor is expensive.
You have always invested in quality. And, I think that's been a hallmark throughout. And if indie authors get dinged for anything, it's quality. And you go through the process of getting 2 proofreaders to go through. You got a line editor, you got a proofreader, you've got superb quality covers, you've got A+ audio books going. So all we can do is guarantee a fantastic experience for the first 9. After that, you're on your own.
Well, yeah, and I've said this before, and then I've completely turned around and like not done it. I've said I was gonna okay, if at this point I'm not making money, I'm gonna cut back on all the production values, and I didn't do it. I said that. I think I say that every year and a half. I set a deadline. I'm like, this is the time. If I can't, and then I just barrel through it. It's really bad, but this is my passion. This is the.
It is baby. And it is a beautiful baby, and it keeps getting
my baby, and it's my legacy.
Yeah,
and I mean, Blackjack series. I just finished. Great work, a beautiful ending to Execution of Rooker Flynn. Loved it. Paid off exactly as I hoped. Not I don't mean like there were no surprises in the story. I mean like it was the kind of satisfaction that we were building towards. So that was
you need that.
that was yeah. But that was good. That was good. But you understand, right?
Yeah.
Blackjack's the thing that's going to be there when you're not around.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I feel like. So I'm just going to say it, and you've heard me say this, but I'm going to dig a little bit further into this. What's amazing to me is watching you consistently get better and more involved and deeper and more skilled every single time, right? And it's not like you started off at a 3, right? It's there's
Thank
like
you.
7,
Thank you.
8, 9, 10. Hey, we're going to 11. Okay.
Wait till
And
book 5.
what do you feel like you learned as an author going from book 1 to 4? Because you've got your kind of virgin episode, and then you've got your sophomore, and then
Oh,
you've got you close out the first arc, and then you move on, kind of do a
yeah.
new thing. And was this
Yeah.
always part of the plan? That's a different question. What do you feel like you learned from the first 4 books?
I did a lot of stuff that may or may not be smart. Like I read every review. Anyone said anything about the book, I listened and read. I read every review on Goodreads, and that's not. And the trick to that, of course, is there's 2 tricks to that. One is you've got to know to ignore a good chunk of them, right? Because not every review is correct in that they might say like this book needed to be more like this, and that's just their bias, and they're not really right. And then you have to shield your heart because some of them will hurt you. You have to. So those are the 2 tricks. So I don't recommend this for everybody, or maybe even for most people. But so I took some of that to heart, and then a lot of it's figuring out what made, like, what I could pull off, right? Like how much I could pack in. I really remember like sitting there with like planning out book 5 and thinking like, can this plot line be in there with the other plot lines, or is it too much? And I'm like, nah, go for it. Kitchen sink, right?
And there was a very specific moment in book 5 where you decided to punt 6. Like you had something you weren't sure whether or not you wanted to keep it in book 6. I think it was book 6.
There was a piece that I pushed into book 6. Okay. But generally speaking, I've been erring on the side of I'm just going to cram more and more into each book, right? And then there were individual lessons that I really learned. Like I learned a lot of writing stuff because I would have an editor. I had really good line editor, Lauren Donovan, and I'd send her the book, and she says like, this sentence is awkward, and I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't have seen that 2 years ago, but now I read it, I'm like, that is awkward. I can do better. So like you pick up. You pick up these things. Now I still cringe because I just reread books 2, 3, and 4 because I was editing the audio, right? So I had to really read them like word for word and I'm like,
like going and looking at pictures of yourself in middle school.
Yeah. But I definitely could see that like, there was fewer cringe moments in book 4. Like by book 4, I'd gotten more of the line level stuff where I was happier with it. And in book 3, I thought was better than book 2 with on a line level, like how many echoes there were, how many awkward sentences, stupid stuff like, how if you have 2 people talking and then you refer, and then so each person's name will be there too many times in like the page. So you have to refer to him as, and the boy or the shorter one, instead of just using the name over and over again, just varying those. Like that's not a complicated trick. I didn't have it in book 2. Right. So, and then it was really, really figuring out, narrowing down what I wanted in the payoffs, right? Because what I love so much is the surprising yet inevitable. And I love the one in Shadow of Hyperion, where you get the ending and it's surprising, but then you're like, oh, this was laid out. There were clues.
This is where we were going.
Yeah. And it's not like exactly, I don't think there were enough clues that I would expect someone to have solved it the way you'd solve a mystery. But I think there were enough clues that when the reveal happens, you're like, oh, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. That fits. And it recontextualizes the rest of the book. This is the first book I wrote where I'm like, I want to write a book so that's fun to read. But then if you read it straight through a second time, you'd enjoy it too. Like, the classic, the greatest example I know of is The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. You get to the end and you're like, oh,
and see a different movie.
Yeah, Fight Club, maybe. Right. Where like you see it and you're like, oh, now I've got 2 movies in my head. I've gotten like, it's doubled the value because I've gotten this whole and it has to work both times. It has to work your first way through, or you put the book down. And they both do, like Sixth Sense and Fight Club both work on the first. You get to just before the reveal and you've enjoyed those movies. I think, right? They're good. I'm not saying they're the greatest ever, but they're entertaining. Everything's good. But then that reveal and you're like, oh, all this stuff meant something else. And I love that so much. That's what I was trying to do in this book. And I felt like I got that because um, I remember coming up with the, are we doing spoilers? We must be doing spoilers, right?
It's entirely up to you. It's your book.
I think we have to do at least some.
Go.
When Poseidon's, because I just reread it, and when Poseidon tells him he smells divine, and I feel like no one's gonna think too much of that based on who Poseidon is when they first read it. But I feel like if you get to the end and you're like, oh, yeah, he said it right there, like he gave the whole boat away in that line, and it's like a thread, right? Because he comes back and he's talking to the stones, like, does he smell different? And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, he doesn't smell good, And he's like, he doesn't. So then what did he mean by it? And he's like, but then he has to stop thinking about it because he didn't have the pieces. And then when you get to the end and so the stuff like that, this is the joy. This is to, you write all kinds of different reasons, but to me, it's those pieces that I love and the character, the sort of the ethics of the character. And it was, I don't know. I thought it was kind of I don't know. I was pleased with this book. I just reread it. I think the end could have been tighter, but I always think that.
Sure, it's hard to go back and look at stuff. Okay, honest question. What point did you start being satisfied with your own work? And do you think that that's going to creep? Like when you finish book 15, are you going to be like, oh, book 8 was, I don't know what I was thinking, right?
I don't know. I don't get imposter syndrome. So when I finished Wistful Ascending, the first draft, which almost no one has seen, I thought it was fantastic. I was wrong, right? Like it needed a lot of work, right? But I mean, it had some good stuff in it. It had some good stuff in it. I still think that, right? But like it was rough. So as I've learned, I think I'm always feeling like I always feel like my latest few are really satisfying. So the question is, when I'm good enough to write book 11, am I going to think Shadow of Hyperion was I still think the ending is less good because I think I got better at nailing endings which you'll see in book 5.
And that's what I worry about for authors in general, is that like the further you move away from something, all you can start seeing is its faults. It's like and because I'm not freaking kidding. I thought 4 was absolutely phenomenal because I thought,
thank you.
Okay, he's really hit his stride with Blood Reunion, right? I felt like, okay, he is in. This is the groove. We are going. And then you trumped it, right? You'd easily trumped it with Shadow of Hyperion. And it's just like, okay, let's go. Butcher, butcher, butcher. And I think it's amazing that the journey continues forward and you continue to get better because you keep thinking that you are getting better, which means that you are, right? Because all of those quarters stack up and you get better and better and better as you go. And I don't want you to, well, you're not going to stop, but I also don't want you to stop devaluing when you get to the point where you're like, oh, gee, I don't know if I want to do this kind of cover anymore. Or if I don't know if I do this kind of audiobook anymore. One, the books will still be as great as they ever were with the cover, without the cover. But yeah. I think that where you're going is always up, right? Yeah. I haven't heard anybody say that you've crossed the Rubicon or this one didn't do quite as well, right? And you being able to take the other thing too, you being able to take a character who is so interesting and so complex, yet so much fun to be with, and keep that guy interesting, funny, approachable over and over and over again is an amazing skill to me.
Thank you.
I honestly don't know how you do that. It's incredible.
I have secrets.
Sorry, I'm fawning.
Hey, Brian. Yeah. But part of it isn't, part of it, maybe I'm getting better, but part of it also is the payoff of the structure, which is that in book 4, I have so much more I have access to. I'm not introducing these things. You know them already from the first. I don't really, I mean, I say they're standalones, but I don't really write them to be read separately. Like a Jack Reacher book, right? You really wouldn't want it. You could give someone the fourth Jack Reacher book. I don't even know what that is, but right, they'd be fine, right? They'd be fine. I really wouldn't want someone to just pick up Shadow of Hyperion. They'd miss out on so much stuff. So part of what makes the books improve to me is I have this background, that I'm building on. In this, it's not just, it's not. Maybe I'm getting better, but I'm also I'm pulling on all that stuff that's been seeded. I mean, the big storylines they're all in Wistful Ascending, right? They're very subtle and they're not like in your face, but like
all the seeds are there.
There's a scene in Wistful Ascending where he's like asking about the Shage and like what they can do, and someone says, "Well, they can't. Their souls can't travel because there's stuff between the stars." And like that's it, one line. But like I pull on that, and then that's become big, and it's a huge thing for the next book and for book 7 and for it just keeps. So it's fun, but that's what brings me joy. That's what makes it worth it.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is that joy comes out. I can't say that Rohan is an analogy for you or a parallel world Joe, but there's a lot of that voice, the humor that's built into that, and that kind of I want to say relentless positivity that's built in. Rohan's got his dark days, but overall, we're going to keep moving forward, and we're going to make this okay. And
I mean,
that's what keeps bringing me that. Like, this is why I always know that I'm going to read the next book, because I know I'm going to have a good time because I just like being with him.
Yeah. And I don't know that I realized that at first. I'm not sure I gave it enough credence when I wrote book 2 to how much people enjoy that being with these characters, like they're your friends. And I hear that in a bunch of reviews. Like, these are my friends. And so like that has, if I had written these books in a vacuum, imagine I just written these books and never published, like when we were young, right? If you had written books like these, people wrote books like these and just kept them right in a drawer because there was no self-publishing, right? And if you couldn't sell it to Tor, that's what you did. You remember those days, you got one option. Won't. Yeah. So, if I had done that and never gotten feedback, like, I don't know if the Ursons would be around. I don't know if I would have spent as much time, getting coffee in these books as I have, but like I kept reading from people like, "Oh, we like that." So I'm like, that makes sense. Like, that feels right. And sometimes people make criticisms where I'm just like, I don't want to go that way. And then that's fine too. Like, you don't take every bit of feedback and
no.
You can't do it all, right? God, I still remember giving. I forget which book it was. I think it was book 3 to one beta reader, and he's like, "You got to be more serious. It's not serious enough. You got to take out all the jokes and the puns." And I'm like, "Oh no, man." Thank you, but and I knew what he wanted. He wanted the Zack Snyder version of Rohan, but right, which is. He's not. That might be more interesting to an audience, right? I'm sure some people would like that more. That's great, but that's like not me.
They're different people. There was a great quote from Brandon Sanderson about that. He's like, "I always distrust writers groups because you put something in front of a writers group and they're going to tell you how they would have written it." That's all you're going to get.
I have a few really excellent beta readers who. They're really good about not doing it that way. And they give me really like, there's this one guy, John Pasadante, who's a published author. Like, he's a bunch of shorts. I don't think he has any novels that are published, but like, he's been doing this for a long time at a very high level. When you get short stories published in real magazines, you know what you're doing. Yeah. That's a hard mark. And he'll read them and he'll give me the great feedback, like this was too fast. Like, the emotions here were too, like, not quite on target, and it's like, he'll make the book better, do what I wanted it to do more closely. My line editor is really good at that too. Because I've had other editors go through some of my stuff, like line work, like for other books. And a lot of times they'll give you responses that are more like classically correct, but she'll capture my voice and say, you should write it this way. And I'm like, oh, that is better. Like, that does sound, that's more me than me. So stuff like that is really helpful.
One of the things that I noticed was something you already brought up, which was Shadow of Hyperion, how much coffee and eating there is. That has got to be. I mean, it felt like you're like, you know what? I think we're going to go have coffee in this scene.
Yeah. Well,
that's the other thing too, is that you do a great job of non-action sequences. You can do a coffee table scene and then do 3 chapters of whatever, and then come back to a different coffee table scene. And I'm just as involved throughout all 5 chapters, and it doesn't matter where you're going. And I think that's a real test of dialogue. Can you just have these bits?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have, you need tension, and that's what I didn't do well earlier on, especially in books that you haven't read because they were earlier versions that had been trimmed and stuff. But too much of like one of my biggest mistakes as a younger author was like the what's nextism, and then they had lunch, because that's what happens next, because the characters had to be hungry, because I could look at my schedule and it was noon. And then you realize, like, okay, if there's no tension in the lunch, then you can have it happen off screen, but then you've got to be really fast. Like, they were coming back from lunch, and right? Like, you can't just have it. You can't dwell on it, because you need something to drive every scene, right? Pretty much.
You don't have tension, you don't have a story.
You need tension, but I would have too much of this is just the next thing that happens. And then you got to cut those, and then trying to get many things to happen together.
Here, Brian's saying it better than I did. Coffee and eating work great in Hybrid Helix because it's time for dialogue. Ding! Time for dialogue.
Yeah.
Kevin Hearn just uses it to show what he knows about whiskey and meats.
But I'm always trying to do multiple things. Like, I'm saying, okay, if I'm having them have coffee, it's got to serve like 3 functions, right? It's got to be like time goes by and they find some information gets relayed and there's some kind of conflict. It's got to be several things. Like, Rohan goes to see, and there's a scene in Shadow of Berne that I was very proud of, and I don't remember doing this, but I just reread it. He goes to see his mom, and she's like, "You look thin," which is this classic ethnic mom thing to say to your son after not seeing for 2 years. So you're getting that relationship, you're getting her character in a very short. Mom says you look thin is very brief, but it conveys that the relation. You can know the whole relationship from that because it's
all
short.
The mom energy.
And then he's like, "I've been working out because I know I'm getting in a lot of these situations." And I'm like, okay, so this is telling you the series arc and the development of the series, that this character who is always described in Wistful Ascending as a guy who just wants to live a peaceful life, which is now saying, well, that might be all I want, but that's not happening. So I'm going to proactively prepare for it. And instead of having a 1980s training montage that takes 3 chapters, which I could have done, right? It's just one line. But it's telling you something, right? He's been working out. So, and then, I was pleased with that. I was like, oh, I was good. I don't remember if I did that thinking about that, but like looking back, I'm like, okay, I should take credit for it.
Yeah, you really should take credit since you did right.
Take credit for it. I did right. This, I kind of wish I had taken more notes while I wrote these books of what I was thinking when I first came up with these ideas and like what the order was, because I have no idea now.
Right.
And it's not important. It's just like for my own curiosity. Like, when did I figure out what the kaiju were going to be? Like, I thought of it, but like, I don't know when it did. I don't think it was when I first came up with them. So anyway, it's not important. It's just fun.
And I know that everybody loves the Ursons, and I'm really glad that you kept them in. I'm glad you brought them back as repeater characters. It's a really easy thing to point to, which is handy. They're a lot of fun. But I gotta tell you, man, the further we go, I just want, I don't know, maybe 30,000 words of Rohan and Wei Li locked in a room. I would kill somebody to read that, because every time that dialogue is like a knife fight. It is so good. It's so much fun to read. I love her so much.
Yeah, she's my spirit animal.
In Wistful, I was like, oh, I like her. So, okay, great. And just little by little, it's like, oh my God, this relationship is the best thing. I love it so much. Her. So if you can lock them in a spaceship at some point, that'd be great.
Okay, I'll keep it under advisement. I think Wayne, my narrator, he gives me not very much, but some feedback sometimes on these characters. I remember he got halfway through Wistful and he's like, "Oh, are they going to be like a romantic couple?" And I'm like, no, like she doesn't like mammals. Like I immediately knew from this character she would never like hook up with a mammal, and I was like, okay,
Well, and to me, that's part of what makes the relationship great is you have a
yeah,
male-female
yeah,
relationship with no sexual tension
none.
whatsoever. Okay, let's
Either way,
just go ahead and call them brother and sister.
yeah,
And she's smarter than he is, right? And
she's more emotionally intelligent,
right.
magically so.
Yeah. And it's just when you get the two of them in a room, I start salivating because I'm just like, this is
Oh,
going to
thank
be
you.
great.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun to watch that relationship. And I will tell you the other one that I keep coming back to, and you're going to laugh at me for this. And I'm sorry for saying it out loud, but freaking Void Shadow is my favorite. I just love it. That has got to be the most fun to write because you have this little high point that goes all along while whatever else is going on. You've got the eternally optimistic ship. I just love it.
The scene from Shadow of Hyperion with Void Shadow is one of my favorite scenes ever. The big climax where he's trying to get no, she doesn't want to run the blockade again. Like, no, we're gonna get hurt. And he's like, no, you have to run the blockade because this is my salvation. Wait, is that in Shadow of Hyperion or is that in Blood Reunion? Now I'm confusing myself.
Oh, I think Blockade was 4.
No, it was Blood Reunion.
Are you sure?
Oh, okay. Yeah. It was when the Imperial ships were blockading the system, and they went through the wormhole to go visit. I'm confusing myself. But that's when he like starts to order her, and she's like, "I'll follow orders. I'm a good ship." And he's like, "Oh no, I didn't mean to be that guy.
I don't want to be that guy, right?
I don't want to be that guy. So, but there's a lot of Void Shadow, and that's another character that I think I had this idea. I don't think I planned that character to be a character. I planned for him to just have a stealth ship, right? It was just going to be, oh, cool. He'd have like he's going to accumulate other weapons and techniques and powers as the series goes on because he's going to need them by book 25, right? So that's going to happen. It's not a progression fantasy, but it's that old style, right? Where you pick up a magic sword in book 4, right? And then you have a magic sword, whatever it is. It's not going to be a sword, but you know what I mean. And I just had this idea that he would have a stealth ship, which seemed like a really useful thing for all kinds of situations to have the greatest stealth ship around, but not too over the top. And then making her a character. I don't know how that happened. I have no idea. It just seemed right because they're intelligent, right? All the ships. So I make them all personalities because that's just what I have to do.
It works so great. And the other thing that I love, like from a storyteller perspective, is that it gives you a sounding board during travel and when you're alone.
Yeah.
Right. You can still be traveling and still be alone and still have a sounding board. And you use it to this great degree where you're expressing kind of trepidation on Rohan's part or, the stuff that he's concerned about. And then it's getting bounced off this eternal piece of light. And it makes introspection more fun. And because that's difficult to do, right? I mean, it's very, very difficult to go, okay, I'm going to.
Well, I don't do a lot of like pages of him thinking about his own life. No, I don't do a lot of interiority, right? I'm trying to say, like, watch what he does and you figure out what he's thinking based on what he like. Does he punch something? Then you can tell if he's feeling like punching something. And I want you to figure it out. I got that idea from Lone Wolf and Cub, right? Lone Wolf and Cub, right? But he does these he doesn't always act the way you'd expect him to act. He's put in these very awkward situations, weird situations. And what you realize, you're getting a lesson in like Zen, according to the writer whose name I can't remember, but the guy who wrote Lone Wolf and Cub. You're getting this lesson, but it's not being told to you by a description of what his thought process is. You just see what he does, and you have to infer and figure out what the Zen lesson is from his actions. And to me, that was very beautiful. And the art's great, and the action's fun, and there's machine guns in the baby cart, and you can't go wrong with that. But it was those Zen lessons through does he cut the guy down or does he not cut the guy down? That tells you have to infer what the thought process is. The implication is that this is sort of a model man, right? He's like doing the right, living up to some kind of ideal, but they don't tell you what the ideal is in words. And to me, that's Rohan, right? Rohan to me is very close. He screws up. He's fallible, but he is very close to living. I'm portraying this as a kind of ideal. And
Absolutely.
what is it? I'm not going to tell you in a paragraph the edicts of how to live like Rohan. Instead, I'm going to show you what he does, and you figure it out.
Right.
The reader. So
well, and
that's the
I
plan.
think that's part of what makes the damn book so satisfying.
Yeah.
Is because you wish you were Rohan. You wish you were that good. You wish you were that steady.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the power and punching spaceship stuff.
Right.
It's the character. Right. It's the degree and level and purity of his character that is the thing that you're looking up to. And it's so.
And the trick is not making it annoying.
I don't.
Right. Because it's easy to make that annoying.
It's super easy to make annoying. Well, I feel like the humor gets you 70% of the way out of that. Right.
The self-deprecating humor. Self-deprecating humor saves you so much.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then he does screw up, and he's not the strongest and the most powerful. He gets beaten up sometimes, and that helps. And then the self-deprecating humor really helps. But that's the structure, right? Like that's what it is. This is my close. I'm getting to a dissertation and on ethics, right? Which I never finished.
Oh, I'm ignoring
Brian. Dropped out of
a
PhD program.
Lots of great interaction with them with suppression of power.
I think he means Whaley. Yeah. Whaley, and Whaley gets a lot of time in suppression of powers with Rohan.
I don't think that you can ever go wrong with that's why I say I want 30,000 pages of them alone together in a room, because it would be hilarious and it would be deep and it would be meaningful. And I was like, okay, let's go. I'm looking forward to Eyes of Empire. I'm looking forward to Suppression. There's something about Shield of the Mothership that feels like some kind of goal for me. I don't know why, because I don't think you've ever said that 7 is a pivotal moment in anything. Although I am looking forward to Suppression of Powers, because if it is what I think it is, that'll be very interesting. And so, and it puts you on new footing, which is always good. And I've been looking forward to that for a long time. Sorry, I'm ignoring Brian again. I mean, I'm angry like Rohan. Does that count? I need powers.
I am too, right? He's a lot of it's my because I mean, Rohan's a power fantasy. It's like we're all frustrated by whatever it is you're frustrated by it, but almost no one really has efficacy in the world, right? Most of us live in a world and we have very limited control over. And we'd all love to be able to change it. And
at all.
Okay, sure. Yes, I'm not going to disagree. And so I'm just going to write a story about a guy who does.
Yeah.
And exercises it in a satisfying way.
Okay, so let me go ahead and ask this: do you get satisfaction out of Rohan? You're very busy writing the book. You're trying to come up with a story. You're trying to do the dialogue. You're trying to make sure your scenes are good. Is there time in there for you to get satisfaction out of him? Are there moments where you just feel like, oh, I felt so good, or this was, and it's not. I don't necessarily mean about the writing. I mean about his character and the things that he's doing. Does that ever gratify for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll edit a scene, or as I'm writing certain scenes, and I just feel anytime he's cutting loose a little bit. Well,
and from an audience perspective, that's delightful. And
cutting loose a little bit, or intimidating the crap out of everybody.
Well, because that's always done tongue in cheek, right?
It's not. I mean, you have to read the next book.
It feels like, hey, I'm going to make a joke about wiping out this entire place, which I can do.
But he really can. Like, it's not. He really could. Like, that's the thing, and that's the thing. I think I dig into that more in the next book, or I relish it a little more. That he is that guy. He could. It's like I used to know. I told you I did a lot of martial arts. I've known a lot of guys who've done a lot of martial arts. Right? I'm not okay, but I mean, I knew a lot of guys who would go into a bar, and they knew that if shit hit the fan, they were going to be the ones left standing.
Right.
right? Like that's just and
Not a question.
it's yeah, and they really were, right? Like I knew people like that. I mean, that doesn't say anything about me. I'm just saying, like I mean, I was friends with them, so and I love that, and to show that feeling, I think is just deeply satisfying. You know, and I relish it, you know, but like there's this, I relish when Rohan pulls one off, like when he a scene in Shadow of Hyperion where he has to fight the dwarf.
Yeah.
What's his name? He's not the dwarf, the dwarf's cousin. His name I can't remember now, but Granite, not his name, whatever it is. He has to fight the guy, and he's like, and he's standing, and I love it because he's in front of an empath, right? So he can't lie.
Can't
So
lie.
he's got to
That was
trap
so
the
much
guy,
fun.
but he can't lie. But he doesn't have to because the truth is actually going to trap them, right? The best lie is the truth.
Yep.
Which is Drew's line from book 3. And I'm like, oh, every time I get to use that, every time I get to twist these things together and have these payoffs where these things come out where he uses the truth to trap other people in their own, trap them using their own misconceptions and their own misunderstandings and their own weaknesses and just crush them. It's deeply satisfying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love these, right? I mean, I'm sure there's many people for whom this is not their cup of tea, but this, I mean, I'm really writing what I love, right? Like,
Yeah.
so like in that sense, you asked if I was satisfied by it. I'm deeply satisfied by it because it's exactly what I like. And it, you know,
When you're deeply satisfied by it, you get some gratification out of it.
Yeah.
You like to see what Rohan does. You feel a sense of association with him, but
Oh,
do
yeah.
you have the uniform?
This is the one.
Say yes.
This is. So, you know, I don't know if you do this, but every once in a while I'm like, because here's the funny thing about being a writer is most of us aren't making any money, but there's always the possibility we can make a ridiculous amount of money.
Sure.
Right? Because I mean, if you owned like a store, you're never going to make, like, let's say you owned a good hardware store near you and you were a hardware store owner, you could build that into owning many hardware stores and a hardware store empire, but it would take years and lots of work. But really, the right person picks up my book at random and it's incredibly unlikely, but you could make millions of dollars, right? It could happen. And I'm always like, all right, if it does, I'm going to get the uniform made and I'm going to hire Gerard Lobo to come hang out with me at Dragon Con in the uniform. I'm going to pay him like a ridiculous amount of money just to like, yeah. Cause you know, I think I've told you this, right? The books are based on a guy,
Yeah.
right? Chris McGrath, anyone watching it, they don't know the story. Chris McGrath uses photo, like he'll have a model come and they'll do a photo shoot and he'll use photo references to make his paintings. I mean, they're paintings, but they're not altered photos, but they're, so I know the guy. I know Rohan. And we're not like friends. Like we follow each other on Instagram and we message back and forth a handful of times. I don't know if he could pick me out of a lineup, but I actually have communicated with the guy. So that's my dream. Get the uniform made because the uniform is just a, you know, purple and yellow jumpsuit.
Well, but I think our dream is to see you in it. That's really what we want. We want your hair long again, like it is in that old photo where you got the kind of mullet going down the back.
It's I unfortunately I used to have long hair like that. Like I used to have like long hair, but I can't do it anymore. Oh no, like touch my butt if I lean my head back long, like a real ponytail. Oh yeah. When I was younger, but I had thick hair, and I don't have thick hair anymore. So when you have thin hair, which I learned the hard way, if your hair gets really long, it just looks greasy all the time. Like right out of the shower, it's just greasy. Right, it just does not look good. And my wife made me stop, and she was right. She was exactly right. So no, I don't have the uniform.
Look. I also have a temper, so I'm very happy that anger doesn't make me extra strong. Which
it's
go ahead, go.
No, that's a scary. Like I have a temper, right, which is more or less under control because I'm 55, right. But I mean, when I was younger, I had a temper, like to the point where I would like get into fights and like I wouldn't remember what happened, and like that's kind of scary, and that's part of what that's part of why I use that in the character. And I mean, that's a very common thing in literature, right? We all love the berserker rage. There's so many characters like Logan Nine Fingers and Wolverine and Sebastian de Castell's guy, his name I can't remember. All these characters with the berserker.
You cross that line, you're never allowed to cross.
Yeah, and then there's this, but it's also this great way to have the character be like a super kick-ass but there's a price for it. So it doesn't feel too OP. It's not like, well, I can beat everyone in the room, but I'll also kill all my friends in the room. So there's a downside to it. But you also know that when chips are down, he's got the card he can play, which is I'm going to lose my shit.
We could
And
just
everyone
hope
will
all of our
suffer.
friends survive.
Yeah. Well, that was a good one. Yeah, that was a good one of those in Shadow of Hyperion that and there's a thing, right? I feel like when I wrote book one, I was like, I could have this happen in every book and it could be sort of the solution to a problem, but then it was like, that's too cheap. So save it for, every so often.
Every so often when we want to do it. Well, one of the things that I also love is, once again, you're dealing with the guy who could wipe the floor with everybody in the room and doesn't, right? That tension alone is beautiful. And when you have your solution not be punching, which is all the time, right? Yeah. At least 80% of the problems are solved with not punching. And I completely agree with you. Those solutions are why I keep coming back. Right. Yeah. It's I want the big fight at the end, but it's all the stuff in the getting there and how we get there that's way more interesting to me, because taking the other option requires more than just a big bicep.
Right. That was the initial impetus for the series, was that Rohan was going to solve problems in clever and kind ways, right? Where possible, within reason, but also sometimes punch things, because it's still an action book, right? You still got to punch stuff sometimes, but that wasn't going to be every time. And that was always the thing. That was so in my mind, the guiding principle from in the first, because in the first book, very first fight, he's fighting the Ursans. He could have killed Aang and no one would have blamed him. Like, Aang came out shooting from this thing, in a lot of distress. And if you put him down, right, no one would have argued. Everyone was telling him to. Instead, he's like, I don't need to. I can just keep punching me until you get tired. And then we'll have some coffee and we'll talk. Right. Which is really what he did. Just shoot me. You use up all your bullets. All right. You're done now. Good. And I'm really glad that was the first fight scene, which I did on purpose, but I was really glad because it just showed you had to be super tough to pull that off, but he could have slaughtered everyone and didn't.
Well, and I hate to say it, but I wish a lot of young people, I don't know, like my son, would be given this book as a bar mitzvah present, right? Because I think it's a great lesson for young men, right? Because they get presented with the other option all the time as being, okay, let's do this. And Rohan, I don't want to say real world, but it's a better solution. It's a more intelligent solution. It's a more compassionate solution from a guy who doesn't need to exercise any of those. And that, to me, is exactly the lesson that people should be learning.
I mean, every time people talk about books for men and about masculinity, and every time I hear from someone like Andrew Tate, I'm like, I want Rohan to be I don't have Andrew Tate's reach, and but he is my attempt to counter that. Right. I want you want to read, and you can hear Andrew Tate's version of what men should be like. And I'm like, no, you should be like this guy.
Yeah.
Instead. And someone could disagree with me, of course, and you're
right
entitled, but that is why I write the books. Are any young people going to read them and be I have no idea. I just found out someone gave, someone messaged me on Blue Sky that a reviewer gave my book to their son. And he loved it. And she's like, he was late for dinner because he was reading. And he's like, a teenage boy late for dinner. And I'm like, I was thrilled. I was thrilled. I wish my kids would read this book.
Absolutely love that. What was, okay. I hate this question and I don't know how to not ask it. So I'm going to go ahead and ask it and just be one of the reviewers instead of an author. The setup for Shadow of Hyperion. When did you actually know? And I know it's such a stupid question, but it's set up from Jump Street in book one, right? You this is coming. Okay. it didn't come in the way that we were expecting it to come in any way, shape, or form. You completely yanked the rug out from underneath us.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
introduced an entirely different character than what you set us up with. And yet, so how early did this Hyperion idea come into play? And when did you realize you had the right idea?
Oh,
Right?
it
That's
was
a terrible question to
it
ask.
was it was not when I wrote was Full Ascending, right? So I had the character who, you know, Hyperion's been dead, and he's like this a shadow looming over everyone because of his legacy that he's left, and I don't know when I came up with it, but it's definitely after writing Wistfall. It might have been when I was writing Blood Reunion, or maybe when I was finishing Return of the Griffin. But then I had the whole God thing, and
Wow.
the whole God thing was had, because the thing is I put a lot of elements in there, and I'm not really sure what they're gonna turn out to be. Like, I didn't really figure out the long-term plan for the Decipedes until like this year, like 2025, right? And I wrote them in 2020, the beginning. Right?
Right?
And they were just there. There's monsters on the planet, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll figure something out later.
Yeah.
And I just did, and I not just, but like you know, like 6 months ago, I figured, oh, this
Here's
will
what they
work.
are.
So, you know, you have the long term plan. I have the long term plan for the series. I know how I want it to end, and then how all the elements, you know, work within that. That
You've
just comes
always known how it was going to end, though, right?
pretty much,
Okay.
pretty much, pretty much.
You know,
I've changed things.
yeah. And all the middle
I've
pieces
changed
aren't
things.
there, but you know, there's a place where you're going, which is the
Yeah,
other
yeah,
thing
yeah.
that I think makes me so happy
Yeah.
reading it, is because you can feel that woven into the undercarriage of the damn thing, right?
Hey,
It's just like, this is not adventure number 23, right? Where
you
this
can
is,
tell.
and like you said, you could just drop into one of the books, but you would lose so much of
Yeah.
what was built into there. I mean, it's a, you know, it's a 7-layer cake. It's just like,
That's the plan, right? That's what I love when I, as a reader, I love those, like those payoffs. I love that Dresden stuff.
yeah.
There's this, you've read Dresden, right? Am I confused?
I read 1, 2, 4, 7
Oh,
changes. No, changes is as far as I've gotten so far.
okay.
But I'm not. I have never read. I mean, I'll admit something to you, Joe. There is not one series that I have read more than 3 books of in the last 5 years, other than you and Dinneman.
Yeah, Denneman's good.
I mean, it's
Okay.
a genuine natural fact.
Okay.
And it's not. It's because I just don't like spending that much time in one place, and quite frankly, most people can't hold me for that long. So
Yeah.
kudos to you,
Thank you.
you and
Okay.
Dinneman, head to head.
So I'll just tell you this: in Dresden, you get the White Court very early on, and you see the
Mhm.
White Court, and the White Court appears over and over again, and they're just bad, right? And sort of this cartoony, nasty elves, right? And you make deals with them because you have to, and then you pay for it, and then you find out there's I forget which book it's in, but there's a book where you find out there's a reason they are the way they are, and they're for serving a purpose, and it's important, and it's good. And you're like, again, recontextualizing. Love that stuff, but it wouldn't work if you got that in the first book, the first time they show up, right? It's the fact that it's 12 books later and you find it and you're like, oh, it's so satisfying. So you got to write the long series if you want those moments. Like, there's no other way to do it.
Well, and I think that it's one of the weird things that SFF readers are built
Yeah.
for. There are
Yeah.
very few people in the world who will applaud you for something that you took 8 books to get to, right? Most people are going to be like, no, give me a break. Come on, give me a one-off. And SFF readers are
Yeah.
built that way. They want the
Yeah.
long game. And that's one of the things that I think it's so much fun to watch, because
Yeah.
you're always stacking the next thing, and the world
Yeah.
gets bigger and deeper and wider as you go. And what was it about Dresden that made you want to take this as the mirror for what you were doing and say, these are the kind of footsteps that I want to follow?
The sales numbers. No, that's not. It's a joke. First of all, I really like the Dresden novels, and then Dresden were the books where I felt. First of all, I felt most like my voice of all the like the authors I really like, because I really love Malazan, but I don't think I write anything like Steven Erikson, and I don't know that I could, but I certainly don't. I don't. It would take a tremendous effort to try to, but I naturally this is a very natural writing style for me. What you read, and I think it's not exactly Jim Butcher, but it's closer than, like I said, Erikson or Moorcock or other authors that I really like. So in that sense, and then having a series of standalones is a much more digestible task than writing like Malazan, right? Which is really it's a 10-book series, but it's 3 big stories told over like 7 million words, right? Like that's maybe it's not 7 million words. It's a lot of words.
It's a lot.
5 million, whatever it is. That's a huge
700 pages a piece.
But the way I'm writing the Hybrid Helix, for me, it feels more like digestible chunks. Because each book is it's 120,000 words. They're all, and I'm still waiting for people to appreciate just how hard this is. They're all between 119 and 120,000 words. Thank you.
I honor and respect you for that.
Thank you. It's now it's a compulsion.
But I honor and respect you for that.
Now it's a compulsion. It's really sad. Every time a book comes in and I can finish it, I see that 119.5 on the bottom of the Word document, and I'm like, the end. It's so satisfying. Anyway,
I'll tell you real quick. What was satisfying for me in a very weird way was walking into book 4 and you yanked your own rug out from underneath you. You took your comfort blanket and burned it at the very beginning of book 4. You're like, we're not doing this anymore. It's like, whoa. Because it was a prologue, great storytelling structure, and you you threw away your own crutch.
Okay, I still think that was a really useful way to do Wistful Ascending, because it set up the tone for the book in a way that if I had not done it that way, you wouldn't have gotten it. It would have taken too long to dribble in. But I got so many complaints. People like, I love this book, except I hate that structure. And I'm like, I don't need it. Let's see if I can do without it. And I thought I did okay.
No. It's not that you did okay. It's you evolved, right? It's a very comfortable thing, and it's a cool thing, and something you don't see people do very often by giving you the end of the book at the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
That was kind of a cool gimmick, and you kind of guaranteed to start with some action. Hey, what's going on? I get mystery built into it, and you have all these benefits and bonuses. And for you to have the balls to say, I don't need that, chuck it out of the way and say, we're doing something different now, to me was because you're already 3 books in, right? Yeah. What you do is you start 4 with this statement of saying, we're moving on. I'm going to give you better than what you got so far.
Every book every book I always try to say, like, what is everyone expecting? And then I have to do something else. And sometimes I probably go too far. Like Return of the Griffin, maybe I went too far because everyone's expecting like, oh, we all like these characters. We like the setting. Let's stay there. And instead I'm like, nope, we're just going to go somewhere else. We're going to lose all these people. None of them are going to be in this book basically. And I got a lot of grief from people, but I was trying to make a meta statement about the series that this is going to keep happening. You are going to get this over and over again. And it does. People tell me that it does, right? They still get later. It's book 7, book 8. They're like, wasn't expecting that. I'm like, good. Then, because I'm like, it's surprising, but inevitable. Like I said, that's my writer's mantra, right? And if it's not surprising, then it can't be surprising yet inevitable. Like, by definition,
sure, surprising, but inevitable deception.
But it can't just be a surprise, like some random weirdness happens.
No, you're better.
Like, Whaley stabs him in the back one day because she was always a traitor. It's like, come on, like that's not going to happen, right? Because that wouldn't make any sense. There might be more to Whaley's story than we know. That would be fine because you don't know a ton about her, and you'll find out more later. But
I will. Okay. Is that
Everything will be revealed.
oh,
Might take a while, but everything will be revealed. Yeah.
I'll tell you
Yeah.
the other
So
thing too, and it's a whole bunch of little things, right? It's stacking pennies. All the little things add up to that kind of magnet draw that I feel toward these books. Where another penny that gets stacked, and again, I'm only talking through book 4, so you can't tell me anything else or whatever. But it's little things like the relationship with his mom, right? That's not something you get. That's not a conversation that your superhero figure has, unless you're going to do the tender, "Oh, mom, remember who, son, you need to remember who you really are" moment, right? That's usually about as good as you're getting. You get the Ma Kent moment, and it's little things like that. I'm not saying it's the most amazing part of the series, but I am saying that there are 20 relationships like that are all better than what you expect them to be. And when you start stacking those chapter after chapter after chapter after chapter, it's
yeah.
just like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. A
I mean,
little
I'll do
here, a
both
little
of them all
there.
day.
Yeah. I like the mom. I don't know how much. Yeah. The, I, and it, the trick is you end up with a lot of these relationships, and then every book can't give you a ton more in each one of them because you don't have enough room. Otherwise, you get this wheel of time problem, right?
Yeah.
Where you're just dragging because you're trying to carry 40 plot lines.
Well, and
So
like with characters, like eventually you get into that Red Rising problem. Oh, should we talk about that at some point? But you get into that Red Rising problem where you just like, oh, like, and I did it with 4, where I was like, I had to like think about who these characters on Earth were, because I hadn't seen them in 2 books, and that was a year previously that I usually read one about every 6 months. So, it was just like, okay, okay. And then like, it seems like huge danger the further you go. It's like, I've got all these disparate elements. Sorry for interrupting.
yeah, no. Yeah, so there's always a trick is you got because a mom. I mean, it was really not much about his mom in book 3, except indirectly. Because
Yeah.
in book 3 you meet his dad, and you're like, oh, that's why his mom feels the way she does. It all makes sense. Yeah, yeah, and then he doesn't spend a lot of time, but you always have to try to have, again, you have to have every relationship, every scene, every interaction do multiple things, right? So it's got to be a little bit funny, and it's got to be a little bit touching, and it's also got to tell you a little bit about both characters, right? So, and you can do that in just a few sentences if you pick the right sentences. I guess that should be the name of my writing novel. Not my writing novel, my writing like a guidebook, my craft book. When I write my craft book, yeah. My writing novel. Yeah, I have a lot of fun with the mom. I was inspired by a lot of good Indian movies with very fierce female characters. Like if you ever watch, like, do you ever see Bahubali? Or
No, I don't have the depth of experience that you do with
yeah.
Bollywood. I'm still proud of RRR.
Yeah. I can't remember if there were strong female characters in RR, but Bahubali was the big fantasy epic made by the people who made RR before, that had took India by storm and was like the big movie in India. And it was 2 parts, and the whole country waited a year for the second part so they could find out what happened, why this thing happened at the end of part. So it's like a 6-hour movie.
Okay.
It's great. I love it. I'm not saying you should go watch it, but there's some super strong female characters in there. Just ferocious. Not like fighting strong, because they don't do that, but just ferocious. So, and that was a big influence on the whole thing. So I got to make his mom tough. And then, I was inspired by what's her name from The Expanse? Avasarala.
Yeah. The Bollywood episode of Psych. Da-da-da-da.
I never saw that. I never saw it. Yeah.
Always turns into a good time. The one of the things that I realized while I was reading this one is that you have this gift of making the reader look forward to every scene as you're walking in the door. I think because you build trust in that all of the other scenes have been interesting and had something unexpected and had a bit of humor or X, Y, and Z in it, that like whenever you fire up the next scene, I don't care if it's coffee. I know I'm going to be having a good time while I'm there. So I feel like you really deserve a round of applause for that, because
Thank you.
there aren't many
I
people
mean,
that do that.
it's pace, right? And pace doesn't mean constant action, because constant action, it's like velocity and acceleration, right? Like if you're just moving constant super fast, there's no acceleration, right? You're not changing anything. You've
Right.
got to be constantly going up and down in terms of like fast and slow, but not in a repetitive rhythm, because even the rhythm starts to get boring. You're like, okay. So you've got to break the rhythm, and then you've got to have different things happening. So you've got to have like some humor, and then some action, and then like some character moments, right? You got to dribble it all in, but it has to be something moving every scene, and treating every page like it's precious. This is my this is what I so I don't want to waste pages on the physical copies. I don't want to kill any more trees than I absolutely have to tell the story. I don't want to take up any more space on my reader's shelf than I need to tell the story. So every page is precious. So I'm not going to put like 10 pages of, like, I started putting not in this book, but in one of the later books, I forget which one, I think 6. I started putting on what's happened before, because it's a series, right?
Eventually,
At some point you should, or you have to. And but I'm like, it can't be more than 2 sides of a page. So I want to have like 15 papers, at the beginning of the book of stuff you've already read, because that's not fair. So you try to treat every
paper on that copyright page, and then that blank page at the end of the book.
And this is what frustrates me in many other books I read, where I feel like there might be like too many pages of like just description that doesn't do enough different things. It might be beautiful description, but it's not more than that. It's not also telling us stuff about the characters. It's not also moving the plot line forward. And it's like, you're wasting my time, and I don't have that much. And I feel like a lot of people, when they read, they like having some time wasted. They like to dally, right? People love Wheel of Time, right? And you can't love Wheel of Time if you don't like spending time doing not much, right? Like, we're just traveling for a while with these people. And then I feel like when I was younger and I had more time to read, like I got more out of that. Like I enjoyed it more. I was more okay with it, because it was like, oh, I've got like, I was a teacher and I remember I had summers off. I've got 2 months to kill. Oh, you want to give me a book that's going to kill a whole week of that's fine, right?
Let's do that.
Like, I don't have time for it anymore. So now I try to treat every page like it's precious. And there's got to be something on there.
Well, Derek certainly appreciates your brevity.
Yeah, thank you, Derek.
Not wasting time, space, or trees. This is the title of my writing book.
Don't waste trees.
Pace of trees.
Don't waste trees. Pace for the modern reader. Pace for the doom scrolling generation, right?
Yeah. It's like, let's go, move.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm over an hour. I apologize. But
no. Thank you so much.
While we're here, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, which is Red Rising. Go ahead and tell me when you discovered that you hated Red Rising.
I don't hate it, but
I know.
Well, even when we were talking about it, I never said I love these books, right? I was never super high on them. I think it took me a while to figure out what bothered me about the character work in Red Rising, and I thought I came up with it like a week ago, which is, and I think I said it. I think the plot, the character, what most of them do seems driven more by the need to move the plot forward than by. Okay, so when a character does something, to me, like betrays you, the betrayal, it should either tell you something about that character. You should have seen it. Like, oh, they had this trait that would have led them to betray you that we knew about. And then they had this thing that we were aware of. And that tells that, looking back, oh yeah, I can see why that was the person to betray the group. Or it tells you something about the philosophy of human behavior that the author is presenting, the worldview that, oh, they're telling, we have this consistent worldview that people like this are going to betray you, that this is the kind of person who betrays, and the kind of, like maybe something maybe someone had betrayed them because their family is too important. Like people will always side with their family, and you get this consistent thing that people always side with their family. So if that means betraying you, then they betray you, and if they don't betray you, then they don't. But it's because they're going to go with it because blood matters more than anything else, right? You're getting this coherent worldview from the author, right? So you're either getting the character inevitably led to that, or you're getting the worldview of the author is oozing through that. You're learning a lesson about what the author thinks the world is like by the actions. And Red Rising gave me neither. Too many times a character would betray them, and it's like, yeah, that makes the plot move, but it could have just easily been someone else betraying them. And I'm surprised, but I don't have that feeling of inevitability because it's not coming from a worldview or from things we knew about the character. So it's, to me, less satisfying.
Well, and I'm completely with you on this. I really enjoyed the time that we got to spend together talking about the Red Rising books.
Oh yeah. I love talking about it. I
want to go back and read them again.
No. I don't regret reading them, and I certainly don't regret chatting with you about them. That helped me a lot. That's part of what helps me become a better writer, is that analyzing other books, right? And
you did something yesterday, I think it was Sun Eater. You talked about, hey, this plot is ripped off from this story is ripped off from this, these characters are ripped, this technology is ripped off from this, but it's great, right?
I don't think the book is great yet. I mean, I'm a fifth of the way through book one. I don't think anyone thinks the beginning of book one is great, but the writing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And
you're enjoying it because of the quality of the writing.
Yeah, I was enjoying. I mean, I think I'm enjoying the plot and the characters just fine. I don't think it's anything amazing yet. I mean, everyone tells me it's going to get great later, and I believe them. Right? I don't know, but if you read the beginning, have you read Sun Eater? I don't even remember.
And Sun Eater is not even on the list for 27.
Okay. The very beginning really feels like a ripoff of Dune. It doesn't stay that way according to everybody who's read it. But there's some like tech stuff. I'm like, this is right out of Dune. There's like an emperor and like houses or families right under the this is right out of like Dune or historical stuff. I mean, it's very historically influenced. But Rocchio can describe like a scene in just a few sentences by picking out and beautifully describing like a small number of details in a scene, and you just have the whole scene pop in your head. And he's phenomenal. And I wish I could do that. And so I think sometimes I don't know if I don't think I'm as good as Rocchio. I think sometimes I can pull that off, but he's really good. He's really good.
And reading stuff like that gives you the tools that you need to be better at it. Right? Even if it's just one lever that you can pull. It's like, oh, wait a second. I'm going to talk about the crystals over here and the light that they're casting into the room. I don't need to worry about the rest of it, right? I've got this kind of single image that's carrying the entire scene.
That's the writing trick. I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen that in a. People must teach that. I don't know. I've never taken a writing like class. I have no idea. Oh, I've read very few craft books. I mean, a handful, but not many. But that whole, if you find the right details, you can describe a room by describing the corner of the room. If you find the right things, if you find the wrong things, you can spend pages describing the room and have it not come alive.
James
right? And Rocchio, and but that's another thing. What makes me feel like you've wasted my time is if you do describe the entire room, right? Yeah. Even if you do it well, I'm like, I don't need to know everything, right? Then Tom Clancy, I don't need to know everything about everybody. Like, I get it. You've done research, but come on, man. I don't need to know like that the guy piloting the helicopter is divorced and like did 2 tours in Nam and he's got like 3 kids, but one of them has a disability. Like, I don't. That's my pet peeve with Tom Clancy. Too much information.
Eliard has a good one. Any chance of audio for Shadow of Hyperion will be available by April?
Okay. It went to ACX. Yes. I mean by not by April 1. I'm thinking April 6th. Easter Monday.
This week?
Huh? It went in Yeah, it went in like I forget if it was Monday or Tuesday. No, I think it was Monday. It went to ACX as a thing where you submit the file. I don't know if you and Holy Art. I don't know if you know that the thing that you submit the files and they have to review it, and they say it'll take 10 business days, and it always takes at least 10 business days. So earliest you'll see it is like Easter Monday. It might be a few days later. I can't promise anything because it's not up to me, but it's done. Like it's with them. The Wayne's paid, right?
Yep.
So it should be then. So yeah, absolutely. And then
I'll put money on
he's
the day after Easter, Monday the 6th.
yeah, Monday the 6th.
Always seems
And
like
then
14 days is the right bet because they're like 10 days, and you're like, no.
they say, well, I think they say business days. So that actually, but they say up to as if it could ever be less, and it's never less by even an hour. And then Wayne is recording Eyes of Empire now.
You got a big thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, he's great. And then people are really enjoying the narration. I think he did a phenomenal job with this book because he got Angry Rohan. He's good at doing Angry Rohan, which Rohan gets pretty angry in this book in a couple places. He gets pissed at people. So yeah.
Well, thanks a ton for hanging out with me. I appreciate it.
Of course,
everybody else go buy Wistful Ascending or whatever book you haven't read yet in Hybrid Helix. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much, folks. I appreciate you. Ciao, Bella.